What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is another episode of Our Drunken History. You got our host here. I'm Travis.
Zach.
That's Zach. Welcome to our 2023 season. On this show, we try to bring you some unfiltered, uncensored, and drunk history. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you're seeing this video at right now. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and coming soon, we'll be on Patreon. You can find the audio podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and anywhere else you get your fine podcasts. We're everywhere you can find us. Go check us out on the Good Pods app. You can find us there and leave us a rating and a review and share it with your friends. If any of your podcast players allow you to leave a review, be sure and leave a review. Leave us a 5-star, leave a comment. Share it with your friends. That really helps out the algorithm to spread the show out and kind of make it available for more people to see. To make it easier, go to the link in our bio. It's beacons.ai/ourdrunkenhistory to find all of our social medias, our YouTube channel, and all of our other links that we have on there to go check it out. So now grab a drink, pull up a chair, and let's dive into the tipsy side of history. Oh, crap. That intro was kind of working on that. Took, 57 takes to get that right?
That was some effort.
Now we got tornadoes on the way that we've got to freaking worry about.
Tornadoes.
Grapefruit size hail. At least it's not. At least we're not getting shot in the back with Tommy guns.
That's right. Chicago typewriters.
Chicago typewriters. If you haven't seen the description already, we're talking about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre today.
Yeah. We're a little behind the times. We were going to shoot this for Valentine's Day, but
we're only about 2 weeks late.
Yeah, we're a little late, but that's. Guys don't really focus on Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
we're more into Steak and BJ Day.
Steak and BJ Day. I like that.
Have you heard of this?
I think I've heard some about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Steak and BJ Day is for the ladies to appreciate the men in their life. I believe it's March 14th is what it's supposed to be.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, because guys don't give a shit about cards or chocolates or other Valentine's Day commercialized shit. Just not our thing, but we do appreciate a steak and a BJ. So, ladies, if you want to show your man...
surprise your man with
the appreciation that you have for him, steak and a BJ is a good way to do it.
I'll have to make sure the wife knows about this holiday.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Oh man,
it's a wonderful day.
That's right. That's better than Christmas. Better than getting some socks.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
But yeah, this is our first episode back after kind of a pretty good little break.
We really haven't recorded since right about Christmas.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, life happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Got pushed on the back burner, but we're back at it. We're back in the shed. We're here to see you. We appreciate you hanging with us and being patient.
Yeah, we've got several episodes lined out. We've got some guests we're working on trying to have on the show and stuff. So I think this next year is. If everything goes to plan, it might turn out pretty good this year, I think.
Yeah, and as always, if you guys have ideas, recommendations, we're open. And just hit us up on any of our several forms of communication that we have now. Yeah,
on that intro that we recorded, it took us...
a lot of takes
to get that right. So because we are definitely not professionals.
No.
And especially...
also, we just want to apologize in advance for background noise. It's a very rainy, stormy evening here in Arkansas.
The one night we decided to record our first episode for the season, and it becomes a thunderstorm. It's maybe some good ambiance.
It's romantic.
Yeah.
For Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there you go. So like our subject, Valentine's Day Massacre. I guess it made some maybe big publicity because it happened on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
But it was kind of, and we're gonna have to do an episode too on Prohibition, since it has to do with drinking too.
Yeah.
But they say the Valentine's Day Massacre kind of tipped the scales on the anti-prohibition movement.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back when it come to like violence and mob and gang violence. And it was all due to a prohibition for the illegal sales of alcohol. So these gangs were formed, or organized crime.
Yeah.
Selling bootleg alcohol. And there was somebody getting shot almost every day in New York or
Chicago. Yeah, those were the big boy cities for it.
So yeah, they had the pictures of it in the newspaper, and they listed all the names. They had the pictures of all the victims. We'll list the victims or something here in a minute, but yeah, and it kind of upset everybody that saw it. I mean, I guess that upset is the least word that you could use for it. I don't know how you describe it, but
I think it was more of a shock to everybody. That was a lot of people were kind of in just going with the flow, kind of in denial about how bad things were, and then this one happened, and it was an eye opener.
Yeah. So let's see here. I don't remember when what year Prohibition started. It was like 1919, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. You can look it up real quick.
But yeah, so they often attributed the shooting. So let's rewind a second. So this happened February 14th, 1929, and there was 6 men. Was it 6 men or 7?
I thought it was 7.
7. They went to a meeting at this warehouse, and they were supposed to meet a gang from the Purple Gang from Detroit. Or bringing a
hardcore name.
Yeah. There was then they were supposed to be delivering a truckload of stolen whiskey, and these people from the North Side gang were going over there to pick up this truckload of whiskey, and evidently turned out to be a ruse or a lie.
Yeah.
And
setup.
There you go. They say the story is 2 men in suits walked in, and then 2 men dressed as police. They don't know if they're actually really police officers or
there's a lot of debate about whether they were actually cops or if they were just pretenders.
Yeah. And the official story is they assumed the cops were legitimate, so everybody lined up against the wall they've been through this procedure before. Cops are going to pat them down, a shakedown, give them a hard time. So these guys lined up against the wall for their shakedown, and then all of a sudden these 4 guys Just open up with Tommy guns and shotguns.
Sawed-off 12-gauge shotguns.
And they said it was several hundred rounds, I think, that ended up getting shot.
You can't shoot a Tommy gun without shooting several hundred rounds.
And the way they story talked about though too, I guess from the bullet holes in the floor and the wall and stuff, they shot all the guys, but they even kept shooting them while they were on the floor too. Like they just kept putting holes in them. There was one guy that actually then after the shooting was over with, the police officers, or the guys dressed as police officers, they fled the scene. And the one thing that was kind of an act of luck, Bugs Moran was the leader of the North Side gang.
Yeah.
And he was notoriously late to appointments and to meetings and stuff like that. And he was supposed to be there with his guys at this meeting, and it was actually supposed to be a hit on him. And he happened to be driving by as the cops were like getting into the vehicle, or they were actually, after the shooting had already happened, and he saw it was cops that was there, and he thought it was a shakedown, so he just kept driving. He just drove on by, and so he actually missed out on his own assassination.
So sometimes being late is not such a bad thing. I was a half hour late to work this week. I took a bunch of donuts and kolaches in.
Oh, that's where the donuts came from.
Nice. I hope you enjoyed.
Delicious.
It's sidebar.
Here we go.
When I went to pick those up, I was the very first person at Drunken. And they had not put all the donuts out yet. Yeah. And I walked in, and there was a girl that worked there that was just scarfing one down. And I scared the shit out of her when I opened the door, and she jumped behind the cash register and ducked down. And I was like, You're busted. She had jelly in her face and shit. Yeah.
Show their 2 hands.
But yeah, so she hooked me up with the donuts. So.
Heck yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so there was one guy, I'm trying to look at it, find his name on here.
The one survivor?
The one survivor, and you call him a survivor. He survived for like 3 hours.
Yeah, but I mean,
he had 14 bullet holes in him.
Yeah, a regular Tupac.
Yeah.
50 Cent.
Well,
Tupac didn't survive his shooting, I guess. Yeah. A regular 50 Cent.
A regular 50 Cent, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Frank Gusenberg was still alive. And he had, 14 bullet wounds. They took him to the hospital, and they were trying to, the cops were kind of interrogating him, or asking him who did it, and he wouldn't give up. He followed the gang code.
He did not narc.
He wasn't no snitch.
Yeah.
So he took, and that's kind of where the debate comes in. This happened almost 100 years ago. They still don't know who did it for sure.
Yeah.
They blamed it on Al Capone because he was the
he was like the king of Chicago alcohol distribution.
Yeah, and he was like the he was like the South Side gang or the South Side Syndicate.
Yeah.
And so you had the Irish in the north and the Italians in the south of Chicago.
I'm curious, and I didn't read about this part of it, because like getting shot with a .45 caliber, 14 times, like that's like I don't know how you'd survive that. But getting peppered with a 12 gauge, like I don't know what they were using, what kind of shot they were using.
Yeah.
But like that would suck.
Oh yeah.
But like you would probably survive if it's like size 7 birdshot.
Well, it depends. That depends too, though. Like if it's at close range, like a big old wad of shot, it's just like a big chunk at that point.
I mean, let's ask Dick Cheney. he shot someone with a 12 gauge.
Shot that senator in the face.
Yeah, he peppered him.
How do you shoot a senator wearing an orange vest in the face while you're bird hunting?
I don't know. And then knock on wood, I have yet to have a negligent discharge in any type of firearm.
Oh, maybe he was trying to act like the Clintons and take out some competition.
Could be. Anyway.
So yeah, the main culprit that they wanted to implicate for this was Al Capone, or Scarface, that he did not like to be called.
So amazing, all the shit that Capone is accused of over the years, that they got him on tax fraud.
I know, yeah. That's the thing. They could never. So with this, when this shooting went down, they was pretty sure that he ordered it, or he was involved in it. But he was in Florida at the time, and he probably timed that if he was involved with it.
Yeah.
But he had an airtight alibi that he wasn't even anywhere close to it when it happened.
He used to hang out in Hot Springs a lot.
Yeah. They had the hotel down there.
Yeah.
There used to be there's a mob museum down there too.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, got him on tax evasion because they couldn't pin anything else.
It worked.
Because I mean he had, so he's famous for the bootlegging and stuff, but he ran a dog track.
Yeah.
He had a couple brothels that they ran, and then actually a few legitimate businesses though too. He had like a printing company, and then I think it was like a front for money laundering and stuff like that. But he had some legitimate businesses mixed in there with it though too. There's one thing I saw, but I don't have the names for it. I was watching a YouTube documentary about it, and there was another guy that they think might have did the shooting though too instead, or him and his buddies, because it was and they think it might have been some real cops that did it.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. The kind of the path I was led to believe is that it was real cops that were involved.
Because I can't remember the guy's name, because it's the only source I was able to find on it was that. And I'll have to do some more research on that. Maybe we can do a follow-up episode or something like that. But yeah, there was a cop. His nephew was killed by one of the members of that Northside gang. So he set out to get revenge on him. And so I guess they found this guy had wrote a letter to the FBI like in the 1950s after that, and gave the details about it. So then the FBI held on to it and used it as evidence or record, but I think everybody involved was dead at that point, and they couldn't prove it. But yeah, so there's they said 12 to 15 different suspects they have figured out that could have done it, but they don't know which ones did for sure.
I don't know. I mean, it's weird, but I like it. I like not knowing exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's one of those mysteries. It's like
some things should just remain a mystery. I'm sure the families would disagree with me, but
yeah,
I don't care.
Well, it's like back then though too. It's like people don't really. So that's the thing. Like the mob bosses and stuff like that. They were, and nowadays they're kind of seen as these hero types or these
Robin Hood, folk heroes.
Well, that was one thing that too that Al Capone did to kind of gain favor in the community. He helped a lot of poor people really. And
yeah.
He gave a lot of money to charity.
Yeah.
And he gave a lot of handed out food. Like this is during the Depression too. So he handed out like food and money and stuff like that to poor people in the community. So they kind of protected him.
Yeah, even though that there was a lot of bad stuff going on with him, he did do some good stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
They said during the height of his career, he was making $100 million a year.
Back then money?
Back then money. In 1920s money. That's over $1 billion a year. Now, he was a billionaire if he was making today's money.
That's incredible.
Off of bootlegging and prostitution and a dog track.
We were born in the wrong decade.
Oh, man. Oh. But yeah, so that's how he ended up with the tax evasion. He was cooking the books on stuff and not paying. So the government doesn't care if you're running a brothel. They just want the tax money off of it.
I mean, I could have told you that.
Yeah.
Anybody
know what the tax rate on a brothel is?
If we get Dennis Hoff on here, we could ask him.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know who Dennis Hoff is, feel free to Google.
Yeah. I think we talked about him during the Vegas episode, too.
I think we probably did, yeah.
Talking about the hump over to Perump or whatever.
Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, so you was talking about you did some research on Tommy guns.
I did. I'm a gun. I won't say gun nut, but I do like them. I own more than one.
I don't own any. They were all lost in a boating accident.
Yeah. But anyway, as we said that the two guns that were used in this crime were sawed-off 12 gauges, which, like, everybody knows what a 12 gauge shotgun is, so I'm not really going to get into that. But the other guns that were used are Tommy guns, Thompson submachine guns, known in Chicago as the Chicago typewriter, Chicago piano, the trench sweeper, or the trench broom.
The trench broom.
The trench broom.
I thought that was the shotgun that was one of those. Like the old Winchester 1300s was the
No, not because they were invented for trench warfare.
Yeah.
Tommy guns were invented for trench warfare.
Yeah.
During World War One.
Another tangent though. The Germans wanted to charge the Americans for war crimes for using shotguns in the trenches in World War One.
Yeah. That would have stuck.
Yeah, but they had those those Winchester shotguns with bayonets on them. Imagine a guy charging into a trench with a shotgun going off. Those slam fire shotguns with a bayonet on.
Yeah. Probably shooting flechettes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy guns, the Thompson submachine gun, the Tommy gun, named after its inventor, Brigadier General John T. Thompson in 1918. It was originally invented for trench warfare during World War One. It was used in all kinds of shit after that. This gun still used today in some places.
Yeah. They're super reliable though. They didn't have a whole lot of moving parts.
No, I mean they're like a 45 caliber AK-47.
Yeah.
I mean they're just a loosely built.
Yeah.
Shoots like they're not stupid accurate, but I mean they're not. It's a 45. It's not made to shoot distance.
No, exactly.
They were also available in 10 millimeter to certain government agencies. They were first used in World War One. Then were used by the Marines in the Banana Wars. They were issued to which I got a kick out of this, the United States Postal Inspection Service. Oh, so you got mailman running around with a Tommy gun.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. The IRA was a big user of it, the Irish Red Army, Irish Republican Army.
Yeah.
China was a big user of it, and the FBI, following the Kansas City massacre. The FBI was the ones that had the 10 mils.
Oh, okay. That's going to give you more range and more accuracy, probably, with higher velocity.
Yep. it was sold to the general public because it could be obtained so easily. It was notorious during the Prohibition Era. It was a signature weapon of several organized crime syndicates.
Oh, yeah.
I.e., the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Wait, because it was a full auto machine gun or a submachine gun.
It was the very first weapon to be classified as a submachine gun.
Yeah, and a submachine gun, if you don't know that, it'd be like a rifle-sized weapon that fires pistol ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll put pictures of it up. And they're famous for the big round drum magazine.
Yep, the drum mags.
The key only had a wind up on it to.
Yep. They were widely used in World War II during trench warfare. Designated as a M1928A1, more than 1.5 million Tommy guns were used or were produced during World War II.
Wow. So if you like the movie Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks' character carried a Tommy gun.
Yep.
It has his weapons. A lot of officers
carried it.
Yeah.
They didn't carry the long rifles.
Yeah.
They were an officer's weapon. They were, like I said, they were developed by Brigadier General John T. Thompson. He wanted a fully automatic rifle to replace the M1903 Springfield.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you going from that.
The 30-03, as they were called.
Yeah, imagine you transition from a bolt-action rifle to a full automatic rifle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big jump in technology right there.
I mean, most of the shit you got in fight with was close range anyway.
Yeah.
Back then in the trenches, and now you have an extended clip. That's
Yeah,
the
military didn't use
a magazine, I guess we'll say.
magazine.
It's not clip is a different thing. If you guys want to get down to the true information about it,
and the
bare facts.
military used the 30-round stick magazines instead of the big drum. The drum magazines were nice, and they had an extended. They were like 75 rounds.
That's a lot to carry.
They're heavy, but then they had some reliability issues with them.
They had some failures to feed. It operated with what is called a Blishlock type of action, which is not recoil or gas operated. Okay. And that's what they wanted, the reliability and then no recoil.
Yeah.
Which I can't think I own a couple of 45s.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that a 45 rifle would recoil all that heavily.
No, it wouldn't. It was known to kind of had the walk up or as if you're shooting full auto, it had the barrel rise.
Most full autos do have barrel rise though. The Tommy guns, fun fact, the Tommy guns used in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre are still held by the Berrien County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
It has been called the gun that made the 20s roar.
That's right. They raided this guy's house. That's actually what I was looking for. I was looking for his name on here.
I got a couple other things here.
Yeah, go for it.
There were two main experimental models of the Tommy gun. One was called the Persuader. It was belt-fed.
A belt-fed Tommy gun.
Belt-fed Tommy gun.
Nice.
And the other was called the Annihilator. Which, I mean, if you're going to name guns...
Yeah. There you go.
Good luck coming up with something better than that.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a fuck you. They were developed sometime in 1917 or 1918, depending on where you look.
What was the Annihilator? Do you go any kind of description on what... Was it belt-fed as well, or...?
It was... They were fed from a 20-round box mag, but later the 50 and 100-round drum magazines were developed.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, beer time.
Beer time.
Yeah.
Beer level. Have you made it this far in the video yet and you haven't subscribed? Hit that subscribe button and follow us on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and coming soon on Patreon.
Listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the Good Pods app, and all other awesome podcast players.
Be sure and leave a review, give us a 5-star rating, and help that algorithm push our podcast out to other listeners. If you'd like to support the channel, maybe buy us a beer, go check us out on Cash App and PayPal. Look us up at Our Drunken History. You can find the link to that in our link in bio as well. Now, back to the show. So you talked about the guns earlier they used in the massacre. So we're going back to the Valentine's Day Massacre. One of the perpetrators they thought might have had a connection to it. The FBI had been investigating it for a while. and they raided the house of this guy named Fred the Killer Burke. And
people had cool nicknames for shit back then.
They did.
The Annihilator, Fred the Killer Burke. Like,
yeah. So they end up killing this guy. He got in a shootout with him after a car chase.
Okay.
So then they raided his house after that, and they found a bunch of weapons. And they found 2 Thompson machine guns in his house. And they that's one thing I didn't realize at the time, though, too. They'd actually really developed ballistics technology back then.
So they could actually figure out which individual gun?
Yeah, so they tested these 2 Tommy guns with the ballistics analysis and discovered that these 2 Tommy guns were the ones that had been involved with the St. Valentine's Day
How
massacre.
did they do that back then?
Well, I mean, they had microscopes and stuff back then. It would be done like nowadays. I guess they have computers that do it, but like
I don't know,
matching the rifling
matching.
Yeah,
I just, I don't know. And I don't know enough about it, that whole forensic side of it. But like, how do you tell one gun's individual rifling from another gun of the same?
They say it's like fingerprints, and there's just like slight variations or whatever. But then at the same time, though, too, I wonder if they were just they wanted to put some sort of closure on the case, and they just said they did. But yeah, so they found these 2 guns. They did a ballistics analysis on them, and said that they were used in the shooting. And so let's see here. It was. Let me go back to that. So they tested the 2 guns. It was serial numbers 2347 and 7580 was the 2 serial numbers of the guns they found. And that's actually the thing, they had serial numbers on them because they weren't required to have serial numbers on weapons until like 1963. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. I've got a couple old .22 rifles that don't have serial numbers on them because they were made in the 50s and they weren't ordered them from Sears and they weren't required to have
Sears Roebuck.
Yep. So they tested it, and it may be that those were machine guns, maybe machine guns that have serial numbers, though, too. Those 2 guns, that's the 2 guns, like you were mentioning a while ago, they still have in possession of because this guy's house was in Michigan, and it was the local sheriff's department that raided the house. And they're still on display there at the sheriff's department, and they go on tour. Once in a while, they'll send those guns out to, like, museums throughout the country, do, like,
that's pretty cool.
Put them on display and stuff.
I would have thought they'd be in like the Field Museum in Chicago.
They say they maintain them still. They still go out and shoot them every once in a while, like for demonstrations and stuff too. So like
really,
so they're still fully operational, ready to go.
You can still buy semi-auto versions. I know Auto Ordnance is a big pusher of them. It'd be a cool gun to have.
Yeah, that would be. I always wanted a .45 caliber rifle of some kind.
I got the 1911s, but
oh yeah.
Civilian ownership of these guns. In Canada, you cannot own a submachine gun. They're completely prohibited as of 1995. The Prohibited Weapons Order number 13. In the U.S., Tommy guns are one of the main push items for the National Firearms Act.
Yeah,
the NFA.
It was the Tommy gun and the BAR.
Yeah.
Because so another famous shootout that was involved around the same time was the Bonnie and Clyde. We'll have to do maybe an episode on them too. And
I've seen their car.
Yeah,
they had it. They had it on display at the Imperial Palace at that car show on the top floor.
Oh, that's cool.
Back in the day in Vegas.
Yeah, because Clyde was known to carry a sawed-off BAR, the short barrel BAR that he would carry around for when they robbed those banks and stuff. And so yeah, those two weapons and the crime that was involved with them really pushed the National Firearms Act to make machine guns and stuff illegal.
But you can still buy them in the States with a Class 3.
Yeah. The thing is, though, too, with that, the guns had to have been manufactured before 1980s.
Right.
Like 1986.
Yeah.
So those guns are old now.
Yeah.
I think you're not allowed to have one.
They were was it Canada? Somewhere grandfathered them. And the ones that people already owned, they were allowed to keep until they died. But then they were not allowed to be like passed on or sold after they died. They were melted. Well, melted down. I'm sure they ended up.
Yeah, there's somewhere
somebody's collection. Yeah. The UK. Oh no, it was the UK. Okay, here we go. The UK prohibited them by the UK Firearms Act of 1968. They can be possessed under a Section 5 certificate, but they're not issued for sporting purposes. A fully automatic weapon that has been converted to semi-automatic, such as a Model 1927, is prohibited by the Firearms Act of 1988. It is any centerfire, purpose-made semi-automatic weapon. It is now effectively impossible for a firearm of this type to be possessed by the general public in the UK, except in certified deactivated condition or where specifically manufactured in 22 LR.
Huh.
So in the UK, you can still own one.
That's pretty good.
As a 22.
Yeah, as a 22. Yeah.
So
yeah, I've seen a few of those, like those conversions. I guess they're purpose built now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what I found out about the Tommy gun. Pretty damn cool gun though.
It is. I would like to have one just to play around with.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I like 45 caliber. That's like. I carry a 9mm most of the time when I carry, but I prefer a 45. I
carry my 1911. I get a workout doing it. So
yeah,
it's like carrying around a freaking.
I also carry mine.
A brick around all day.
Oh, tornado watch.
Tornado
just
watch.
Yeah, until 10 p.m.
But yeah, so back then, I mean, we were talking about, kind of the gangsters have been kind of dramatized or idolized, but man, they were some ruthless assholes.
Oh, there was some really fucked up gangsters. There really were, man. That did some just horrendous shit.
And it took some big time high profile tragedies like the Valentine's Day Massacre to kind of change people's perception on it, because like you said, people were kind of just going with the flow. Yeah. And then they're like, hey, we got to make some changes. And it was all stemmed off of Prohibition. And so that was the thing that led to it. Herbert Hoover, when he was elected president, he ran on the campaign promise of abolishing the Volstead Act that created Prohibition.
Yeah.
He said he was going to get rid of it to help fight crime. And then he actually declared, that was the thing about Capone, he declared Al Capone public enemy number one.
Yeah.
And he was wanting to get rid of Prohibition and get rid of Al Capone was his promises, and that's
his campaign promise.
Yeah.
His college tuition payback.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to do because man, Prohibition. There's a lot of stories about that, and so we're going to have to do.
Yeah, we do have an episode in the plans for Prohibition, which also leads into some other things that we'll get into, but hopefully we'll have. It's a lot of research for that one, guys. It may be a two-parter.
Yeah.
But it'll be a fun one for us and you, hopefully.
There's a lot of stuff that stemmed out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Prohibition was a big fucking deal. Yeah.
Yeah, we may have to.
We're not a fan.
No, not a fan at all. We would definitely be partaking in the speakeasies and the.
Have you been to a speakeasy?
No, I've heard of a few. Man, it'd be nice to go.
Supposedly, there's one in Fayetteville.
Really?
Yeah, I'd read that somewhere. I went to one on my best friend Pat, his bachelor party.
Yeah.
We went into one. I think we had talked about it on an episode where we went into an ice cream shop.
Yeah, we talked. I can
refrigerator door. We said Sean, Pat's brother, said the secret. I never got the secret word, but Sean knew the secret word, and he said it, and they opened up a refrigerator door, and we walked in.
Heck yeah,
there was kids in line to get ice cream, and they were like, "What the fuck?
What are they doing?" That's cool.
It was awesome. It was a really cool experience.
Maybe one of these days we can.
Thanks for that, Sean.
Yeah. Maybe one of these days we can start our. Well, we'll have our own speakeasy. We can.
I'm down.
Yeah. Have our own little private club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What movies depicted this St. Valentine's Day Massacre?
Well, they had a couple documentaries and stuff about it, but then Scarface was one that came out.
Yeah.
That was in the 1950s, I think.
The Untouchables.
Yeah.
Covered it.
And there's another one, a more recent one. I think it was called the Valentine's Day Massacre. I think was it was on there.
Yeah.
And then they had a few other movies. I saw glanced over some of it, but I can't remember some of the names of them. But the whole mob culture and stuff was pretty big, and especially
it's very interesting because it was like a uniquely American thing.
Yeah. Well, out in Vegas they have the
Mob Museum.
The Mob Museum, and they have the actual wall from the garage there on display.
Yeah.
So you go there, the Mob Museum. They have all the bricks rebuilt. So they tore this parking garage down, or this warehouse down, in the 1960s, and they saved all the bricks. And they were in a private collection for a while, and then the Mob Museum got a hold of them. And so they have them on display there in Vegas.
You know who's responsible for that Mob Museum?
It was the Oscar Goodman. He was affiliated with the mob.
He was their lawyer.
Yeah.
He was their lawyer for years.
I mean, the mob, which we talked about in our Vegas episode, whether the mob pretty much started Vegas.
Yeah.
And made it to what it is today.
Have you been to the Mob Museum? I have not.
I have not, no.
Yeah, that would be really cool to go to. That's something I always wanted to get to.
We need to go and do a episode from the Mob Museum. On site.
We could knock two birds, one stone. We could do the atomic testing museum there too.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, hit up both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
So that's pretty good. I mean, we kind of hit on this briefly. I mean, there's tons of documentaries out there and tons of information that if you want to dive into it with like the names and dates, and I was reading through this and I watched a few documentaries on it, and it's a spider web of names and accomplices and who was involved. It all stemmed off with one guy got shot, and then another guy got shot for retaliation, and it was back and forth, and it ended up with this. So it was a pretty tangled web of stuff, but it's pretty interesting though.
Yeah, definitely. I like reading about this shit. I've watched the History Channel specials on it before.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys joining us on this one. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, we've got several lined out that we're excited to do this year. So hopefully 2023 will be a good year for us, pushing some more interesting content out, and we hope you join us on the journey.
We really do appreciate you hanging in there and coming back, seeing us again. As always, have a plan. Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, make sure you got your ride lined out. If you're drinking with us right now, make sure you stay home and or have a plan to get home.
Yep. Guys, hit us on all of our socials.
Yeah.
If you want to see more of these milky white thighs, you hit us up on YouTube. If you have suggestions, leave a comment. Shoot us an email.
Yeah. Yeah, you find our email and our link in bio. It'll be tagged at the bottom in the description of either the audio or the video on YouTube, wherever you're watching us from. So hit us up. We like to hear your feedback and your comments.
Appreciate you.
Have a good one, guys.